Hello, I'm Cole. Most of you probably know me, but if you don't, Cole's my name. And for my summer reading project, I'm going to do a book called Danny the Champion of the World by Roald Dahl. It's a really interesting book. For my reading bingo sheet, I'm probably going to put it under adventure. The bugs are crazy right now. So I really hope you like this little skit that I'm doing with my friends, Quinn, Eddie, me, and my dad. And I hope you like it. So we're going to start right now.
Hi, I'm Quinn McDermott with CBY News, and I'm here to talk with Danny and his father about something that happened with pheasants. Danny. Hello. How old are you, and what do you and your father do for a living?
Well, I'm 9 years old. My name is Danny, of course. So my dad and I, we just live in a small little caravan, and we work at a filling station, and we are both car mechanics, and that's what we do for a living.
Danny, where do you live?
Like I said earlier, we live in a caravan, which is right next to our filling station. It's an old gypsy caravan, quite small, but it's good.
Danny's father. How is your business going in the filling station?
My business is coming quite well in the filling station, thanks. I've taught Danny how to work on all sorts of automobiles, and we make a good living, but for me it's just okay.
Danny's father, do you have any interests or a hobby?
Well, I have one thing I love doing, and I love doing it with Danny. It's poaching from Mr. Victor Hazel's woods.
Danny's father, what is poaching, and is it legal?
Technically it's not legal, but poaching is to go onto some rich, snobby person's land who keeps a bunch of pheasants and doesn't let anybody else use them, and trick or steal or capture the pheasants and bringing them home and having a delicious pheasant dinner.
Danny, do you know that your dad is a poacher?
I do. And I have gone with him once. And when I first found out was when he went out one day. And I woke up at about 10. I checked his bunk, no one was there. So then I went to the steps of our caravan. I just sat with my blanket waiting for his arrival, and eventually he came back, but I had dozed off already, so he put me in my bunk, and then when I woke up for a second time, he was there. Quite a bit frightening at first.
Danny, have you ever gone poaching with your father before?
Yeah, actually, the most recent time I went with him, and it was a very exciting experience. A little bit frightening because we ran into the head keeper, an old chap, so it didn't really matter. We tricked him into saying that it was a public walking area, which of course it wasn't, and we just walked until we knew we were out of sight, saying we were going home for a nice, scrumptious dinner, when we really weren't, and waited for him to leave, came back, no one was there.
Danny, how do you poach? What techniques do you use?
Well, my grandfather has found one of history's most exciting techniques about poaching pheasants. And it's that pheasants love raisins. They're crazy for raisins. And his most common techniques, there were two. One was called the horsehair stopper, and the other, the sticky hat. And I guess I'll just give you a short summary of both techniques. So the horsehair stopper is you take a raisin, soak it in rum, let it get nice and plump, cut some horsehair from a horse's tail, stick the horsehair in the raisin, and then feed it to the pheasants. When they eat it, the horsehair will stick with the raisin to the back of their throat, and it doesn't hurt them at all. They can breathe, they're not choking, but it just makes them stop completely. They won't move, and you can just take them, bring them away. Simple as that. And the other one, the sticky hat, also includes raisins, where you would take a piece of paper, fold it into a cone shape, seal it with glue, so it was a cone, dig a little hole, put the cone in there, and have a trail of raisins leading to it, and have one in the cone, and when the pheasant goes for the one in the cone, it will go down into the cone, and the cone will cover its face, and so it can't see. It's like having a cone like that, and it will also just stop dead in its tracks. It won't move a muscle. Of course it'll breathe, but it'll just stop and stay, and you can just pick it up and bring it out. And the way that he found out of these two techniques is my grandfather also tested them out on hens and chickens.
That's very nice. Danny's father, around town word is that you pulled off the greatest poach ever. How did you do it?
Well, I really owe it all to Danny. I mean, he came up with a technique called the Sleeping Beauty that let us get about 120 pheasants, I think.
200.
200. You know, while I was poaching a couple of weeks ago, I fell into a trap and I broke my ankle. And the doctor, Doc Spencer, gave me some sleeping pills that I didn't use. And Danny figured out a way to use the sleeping pills and raisins to catch pheasants.
Danny, how does the Sleeping Beauty work?
So my dad didn't use any of them, and so we had 50 capsules or little pills with powder, which were sleeping potion, but we needed to make 200 raisins, and so my dad was like, and then we thought we would only be able to make 50 raisins, which is not very many because the pheasants might not eat them all. But then my dad was like, well, if one pill can put a full-grown man to sleep, we should not need as much for just one little pheasant. So what we decided to do is use one capsule for 4 different raisins, because 50 is a quarter of 200. And so what we would do is we'd cut a slit in each raisin, fill it, completely take out everything on the inside except for the coating. Put the sleeping potion in and seal it up. And we do that to every raisin, which took a very long time, about 16 hours. Just non-stop doing it. Eventually we got it, and it turned out to work very well.
That's really interesting. Danny, how did Mr. Hazel react to finding all his pheasants gone?
Very, very angry. Quite confused, because I bet he thought that his tiger traps that he used on my dad would just wipe out all the poachers, but apparently not. So when he came to our filming station, his face was like red as a beet. He was so mad, and so a policeman came, and so he started to get into a fight with my father. And so the policeman, my father kind of just got the policeman on his side to get away Mr. Hazel. So Mr. Hazel left, and the police wouldn't let him have his right to talk, which is unfair, but in this case it worked for good, because Mr. Hazel was not nice in his big shiny Rolls Royce. And he left, and that is when my dad and I truly stated to ourselves that we were the champions of the world of poaching.
Very nice. Both of you. What will you do next?
Well, I know one thing we definitely won't be doing, right, Danny? Because it's illegal.
We're just not going to poach anymore.
No.
We will probably poach more at Mr. Victor's Hazel.
Don't tell him.
Mr. Victor Hazel's Wood, sorry. And we will buy an electric oven that we can use for all the pheasants that we got. And we will buy new silverware because we are not very rich or wealthy. We are quite poor and we don't have proper tools to eat. But now that we have pheasants, and many of them, we will save some for ourselves, probably sell some, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. But mostly just look forward to having fun fixing cars and in the filling station and just having a good time.
Exactly right.
And that's Danny's and his father about the incident of the pheasants.